Welcome to the first discussion segment of the Bark. Today, we'll start with a hot topic that has received special attention in the worldwide media. This conversation is arriving to Colombia thanks to a court case made by lawyer Natalia Bernal-Caro. To talk about this, we have invited our special guest, Juanita Patiño, a pro-life supporter also known for her Instagram page, Por Ti y Por Mí. Welcome, Juanita. Before we start discussing us two, I want to clarify that this ethical controversy, from a biblical perspective, is just like any other sin. Speaking about abortion, we're called to stand for truth. We are also called to love each other. And despite our sins, with that in mind, I just want to remind all the public not to demonize and not to go against pro-choice people. This is just a friendly conversation we'll have. Welcome, Juanita.
Thank you so much for having me. It really is an honor and a privilege to be here. I want to go ahead and get started with two Bible verses. The first one is Job 31:15. It says, "Did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one form us both within our mothers?" This verse shows us that we were all created by the Lord with the same dedication and love, even the unexpected babies. And the second verse I want to say is Proverbs 6:16. This verse talks about the things that the Lord hates, and one of them is the shedding of innocent blood. If you do not know, abortion is the shedding of innocent blood. And if you still don't believe it is, you can go ahead and check out the abortion procedures and you can see that it really is the shedding of innocent blood.
Thank you. Thank you for that start. If you don't mind, let's get into the topic of Colombia first. What do you think? We haven't heard that much from Colombia's media about abortion, although we had protests about it. And as we know, this is becoming a worldwide topic centered here now.
Yeah, well, there actually was coverage from the media for the protest that took place like in the beginning of the year. However, the case got forgotten because, there's so many things going on. However, in courts and in the international community, it has arisen again recently. So, yeah.
Okay. What are we specifically trying to change, or what is this case about?
Okay, so in the court case, the lawyers appealed to a reform of Articles 90, 91, and 93. And basically, these articles are the ones that define life. So they're trying to change that.
Okay. What government organisms will have been involved throughout this? Do you know?
Yeah, there's two in Colombia. There's the Constitutional Courts and the Supreme Court. And there's also the Corte Interamericana de Derechos Humanos, who will be coming to revise the case.
Okay. According to the protest, we heard we had protests on this. How have people taken it? What was the reaction of people?
Okay. Most of the pro-life community has opened their eyes, and we have realized that we are in a very decisive time. So most of us decided to speak out and let people know that we stand for truth and we stand for life. However, not the whole community, not the whole pro-life community has spoken out, which is very, very sad. And in the other hand, we have the pro-choice community. Even though they are not the majority, they are very, very, very outspoken. So that is the reason why most of the people think that there's more pro-choice people than pro-life supporters. But in reality, there isn't. So they have taken advantage of the moment and of the situation to really speak louder than the pro-life community.
Speaking about the pro-choice people, one of the arguments, I think you have heard it a lot, we have mostly heard it a lot, is my body, my choice. And this is where pro-choice people always stand. How do you address that normally, in your experience as a pro-life?
Okay, I think it's a very complicated topic. However, there's a lot of evidence and a lot of facts. I'm just gonna name a few because we could get really into this, but we're not gonna get into this for the sake of time. So the first one is that science has proven that there's a heartbeat from the fetus from the 21st day after conception. Also, by the start of week 9, The fetus already has all of its organs formed. They just need time to develop and mature. And by week 10, they already have all of their fingerprints. Also, if it were your body, it would not be called an abortion. So, as I said before, there's a lot of information on fetal development, but we're not going to get into all of it.
Okay. According to the Civil Code, a child is considered a human being when it is born, according to Article 91, which was one of the ones you mentioned. If we change the Civil Code, what should it be changed to?
I believe that science should be the one in charge of defining when life starts. And as I said before, it has already stated that by the 21st day after conception, there's already a heartbeat. So when there's a heartbeat, it means there's life. And as I said before, again, there's a lot more evidence that shows that life begins in the womb. So the start of life should not be determined by politicians or by politics. It should be determined by science.
Okay. Well, many medicals here in Colombia have accepted three different ways that abortions are legal. We haven't gotten to a point where like all abortion is legal, which are fetus malformation, rape, or sexual harassment, and also if the life of the mother is at risk, physical or in any other way. What do you think of this specificities? Like we aren't as deep into abortion yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a really, really great question, and there's a lot of information and a lot of things we could get into for each specific like exception. But for now, I'm gonna address each of them in a very concise and clear way. The first one is fetus malformation. Doctors will never, never, never advise you to end the life of your baby. They will do everything they can to save both the mom and the baby. Also, deciding if someone will be able to have a life based on their diagnosis or based on their disabilities is discriminating people. And from a Christian perspective, we know that if God gave them a chance to live, it's because they have a purpose. And it's not our decision to make if someone will live or die based on disabilities or a diagnosis, as I said before. The second exception is rape. We all know that rape is a violent crime. The way to address violence is not with more violence. The victim will not instantly heal from her trauma from rape after having an abortion. The way to heal is by getting help. And also, let's think about this. If we're not giving a death sentence to the rapist, which I'm not saying they should have a death sentence, why are we giving one to the innocent baby? He did nothing to exist. It's just biology. He just formed because God formed him and he has a purpose. He didn't do anything wrong. So why are we gonna give him a death sentence? And the third exception is when the life of the mother is at risk. First, let's look at it from the mental health perspective. If you read the Colombian document, which has all of the specifications about abortion, you will see that the mother is never required to have an authorization from a mental health professional. This is very dangerous because we can see that any woman at any time can say that she is mentally affected and end the life of her baby. So like mental health is not safe because any woman can have an abortion at any time. Now, if we look at it from the physical perspective, like if her physical health is being affected, as I said before, doctors will do everything in their power to save both the baby and the mom. And there's some cases which are called ectopic pregnancies. In these cases, the body will have a natural process, which is called a miscarriage, but this is not an abortion. Why is it not an abortion? Because it's not the intentional killing of the baby. So if the life of the mother is really at risk, the body will have a process of miscarriage, and there's never a need to intentionally kill the baby.
Okay. This three things you're explaining to us were approved in 2006. We're now 14 years that the court approved these three causes for an abortion, where do you see as a pro-life advocate Colombia heading towards in the next 5-10 years in this topic?
Okay, it is a very complicated topic. Not many people like to speak out and stand up for what is right, stand up for life. Most of the time because they are afraid of being rejected or any other reason. The pro-life community is the silent majority. We are the silent majority, and we have to speak out and stand up for truth. Otherwise, it will be very, very, very complicated to convince our government and to convince other people that abortion is wrong. So if the pro-life community doesn't take action, and if we don't like wake up from our dreams and start being vocal about defending life, we're gonna have a really hard time in the future.
Okay, and about this legal case that lawyer Natalia Bernarcano tried as a pro-life advocate to go against, you also as a pro-life advocate, what do you think legally should change in Colombia's civil code?
I think that the thing that should change, as you said before in Article 91, they say that life begins when the baby is out of the womb, when the baby is out of the woman's body, of the mother's body. But abortion, well, first of all, life should be protected from the moment of conception, because as I have told you before, there's a lot of evidence that shows that life begins at the moment of conception, and abortion should be legal, no exceptions at all. We should not be deciding who gets to live based on a diagnosis or the conditions in which they were conceived or anything else. So abortion should be completely legal, and life should be defended from the moment of conception.
Okay, now that we know like all the problem we currently have and like all your view, what's the solution? Like what can we do to solve this and it'll alleviate the situation?
Okay, this is a very, very, very great question. Most of us think that the pro-life community only speaks out, and there's a lot of criticism saying that we never do anything for the community, and maybe even you as a student may think like there's nothing I can do to alleviate the problem. However, there is a lot of solutions, and today I have brought 3 easy and simple solutions. The first one is adoption. This is the most complicated one, but I'm gonna read you some facts and like statistics about adoption in Colombia. So in 2019, there were only 1,390 children adopted in Colombia. This is just 11.5% of all the children in Colombia waiting to be adopted. As I said before, there's a total of 12,000 kids waiting to be adopted, about 12,000 kids. If we all adopted, we would be taking action. We would be showing people that we do far more than just speaking out, and we would be showing them that we truly care about their lives. In addition, looking at it from a Christian perspective, we were all adopted into the family of God. God adopted us, and there's 2 verses I would like to read. The first one is Galatians 4, 6 through 7, which says, once we have been adopted into the family of God, He indwells us with the Holy Spirit, who reminds us that we are God's children. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of His Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father, so that you are no longer a slave, but a son. And if a son, then an heir through God. And we can also read Romans 8, 14 through 17 about adoption. So adoption is a really great solution. The second one is donating. It does not have to be an economic contribution. Of course, if you have the resources to make an economic contribution, go ahead and do it. It will help a lot of women and a lot of kids. But we as youth, we can be donating our time. We can be serving all of these mothers in need, and we can of course be serving their kids, but also letting them know we're here for them. Most of the times they feel very, very, very rejected, and there's also a lot of organizations that help teen moms, or not even teen moms, but all kinds of moms and their children. So if you want to know where, how, or who you can donate to, you can write us an email and we'll send you the names of the foundations. And the third solution, I think, is one of the greatest ones, is knowing that you are not alone. The Bienestar Familiar has a solution that it's called FAMI. It stands for Familia, Mujer e Infancia. As I said before, it's a program for Instituto Colombiano de Bienestar Familiar. It helps with education, nutrition, and health to all of the moms and kids who are needing it. It accompanies mothers from the moment they are pregnant until when the kid is 2 years old. And you don't have to be a teen mom to get the help. If you or you know someone who's going through a hard situation like this one, you can tell them that they can vinculate by going to the nearest station of Bienestar Familiar. And there's some like community groups where they can help you. They will give you 96 different sessions, and they will also give you all the help you need. And of course, besides the help from the government, there's a lot of people willing to help with whatever they can. So I think that knowing that we are not alone, or even you are not alone, is really great, because one of the greatest excuses is that there's no help from the government. No one is willing to help, but with FAMI, we can see that there's help from the government, really accessible help, and there's also a lot of people willing to help.
Now, the third point is where the mother's life is at risk. I have done a lot of research and have also spoken to a gynecologist who is specialized in fetal medicine, and she told me that abortion is never medically necessary. There's some cases where there's a miscarriage, which is completely natural, and doctors have to go in and take out the remaining parts of the baby, or maybe take out the placenta, because we all know that if the placenta stays in the womb, in the body of the woman, then it's very fatal. Now, there's other cases, for example, with COVID-19, there's some pregnant women who can't really properly breathe because of the size of their belly. And when it's really, really fatal, they deliver the baby as soon as possible. And of course, they try to save him or her. And this also applies to other conditions or diseases. So people confuse having an abortion with having a medical procedure, but I can assure you that abortion is never medically necessary.
Thank you, Juanita, so much. And as you say, those are ways we can help, and those are ways we can have a contribution to this topic and show not just our voice, but our action and our love towards the child and towards the mother too. Thank you so much, Juanita, for joining us on our first discussion. It was so great to hear from you.
No, thank you for having me. It was really an honor. Really, it was a privilege. And yeah, thank you for having me. I wish you all the best.
To you too, Juanita, and to you who are viewing this, stay tuned for the next discussion segments that we will have. Thank you for watching this, and don't forget to keep watching The Bark.